we knew eventually the NIL deals were going to get in the way with players deciding where they're going to go to school, or how much money are these players going to be asking for if they're a superstar player or one of the best recruits right now in the country. You could be a 4-star, 5-star recruit, or you could be a 3.5-star recruit. Ward, I don't even think he was an any-star recruit. And look, he was the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. If you're a 5-star recruit with NIL deals, you should be getting the most money. Because if you're a 5-star recruit, you're one of the best players in the country going into college. Now, that doesn't mean you stay a 5-star recruit. I do believe if you're a 5-star recruit, your first year, you should get 5-star recruit NIL deal money. After that, depending on how you play, that is where the team decides on how much you make. Furthermore, after your first season as a 5-star recruit, because after your first season, you could be considered a 3-star recruit, even though you're not. And Maryland is a good basketball program. They're not really known for their football. We've had a couple of their college football players on our show over the years, and they're a good sports program. They're just not really known for their football. But Locksley is a known coach in the NCAA, and he's trying to find ways to pay his players. And the NIL deals are going to move forward no matter if they decide who they're going to pay. The fact is, these NIL deals are going to get into the way of where these players decide where they want to go in the future. You want to go, if you're playing football, you want to play for Alabama. You want to play for Georgia. You want to play for USC. You want to play for the top recruiting programs in the country. Usually in college football, it's the SEC. In college basketball now, you have obviously the East, which has been very, very good with UConn and Villanova and some of the best teams we've seen being put together over the last 10 years in college basketball. And now you have Pitino with St. John's over there. So you have all these top-end head coaches. Calipari, obviously, or what he's doing right now. And then you have baseball. And baseball, obviously, we all know who the best baseball team over the last 10 years has been, and that's the LSU Tigers. So the SEC is very big when it comes to baseball as well. We look at NIL deals, you have to look at where they're ranked, how they're ranked coming out of school. That is where I believe you divide out the money. Now, it's going to be very, very hard if you're a player that's been playing for that college football team. You didn't decide to portal in to play for another team. That's why you have a portal. If you know a player's being brought in and he's going to be offered this amount of money for NIL, then you go into the portal and you go somewhere that's going to pay you, some other team or some other program that's going to pay you more. There are so many ways now when it comes to college sports where the player is really in the driver's seat. It used to never be that way. When you decided to go to a certain school, you know that you're going to be playing for that school for the 3 or 4 years you're going to be there. The only time you could decide to portal out of there, which they did, they gave you a chance, you would have to miss 1 year of eligibility. That's the problem with college sports now. You don't have to worry about that. There's a portal, and every single year, actually, I think it's like you get 2 times.
Yeah, the second time you transfer, then you have to wait a year.
Right, so you get 2 chances if you want to portal to another school. And that opens up so many possibilities for these players to decide, hey, you know what? I could go here. I'm playing for Georgia right now. I'm one of the best defensive players on this team right now, and they're bringing in 2 or 3 5-star recruits. They're going to be taking my spot at least another year. I want to play 2 more years of college football. I'll go to Florida. I'll be a starter, and they're going to give me more money for my talent. That's the way the NIL deal is going to work until, obviously, the NCAA figures out how it makes sense. The NIL deals are going to be a problem. Everybody says it. Look at Deion Sanders. He was cheating right off the bat when he went to Colorado. He's going to Saudi Arabia and trying to seek millions and millions of dollars from these princes. How many people know that Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest and most expensive countries and big profit countries in the world? Why? Because of their oil. That is why, ladies and gentlemen. So, Deion Sanders, Prime isn't stupid. So you know what Prime did? He went to the one place he thought nobody was going to discover where he was going to take money to the States and pay his players off. So Deion Sanders deserves my golf clap if we had one. Nevertheless, you look at the big picture here. I just look at the Maryland situation. Locksley's going to say whatever he wants. Locksley's going to complain like every other coach. Nick Saban decided to step down after, 2 years ago because he said, you know what? I don't want to deal with the NIL deals. Dabo Swinney has been bitching and moaning about these NIL deals. But guess what? These college coaches are making millions and millions of dollars and making it off the recruiting classes they bring in and try to win national championships. So I'm not going to cry the river for any one of those guys like Dabo Swinney, who's making $10 million, or even Nick Saban at one point that was making $13 million.
James Franklin, I think, for
How
Penn
about
State,
Bill
too.
Belichick? What's that guy making right now? I mean, seriously, and he's not even running that team. His girlfriend is. His fiance is running that North Carolina team as she's flashing and dancing and making decisions for Bill Belichick that Bill Belichick knew nothing about it. So it just shows you the way college sports is moving. That's why Bill Belichick went to North Carolina. Don't get it twisted. It had nothing to do with his father because his father coached there. It had nothing to do with, hey, you know what? I'm going to run this organization and I'm going to win national championships. No, it's the money thing. He knows that the way he can recruit players is going and jumping from one hand to another and finding ways to get money to get the best recruiting players in the country to come and play for him. And that's why and he doesn't have to deal with those pro players bitching and moaning and game playing from one team to another. He doesn't really have to do that. You know what he has to do? All he's got to do is raise men. He is so used to doing that as he was raising a lot of stupid asses over there in New England and still winning championships. So there's no lie about that. The NIL deal really has brought open opportunity for these players to not only bring a generational money home to their
in good and bad ways.
Yes, right. Yes. Generational money that'll help their families in the long run. But it also brings problems when it comes, like Jabba was saying, it brings problems on how do you decide or where do you decide the money will go and what program is, especially when you go into a college like, let's say LSU. They got a good baseball team, they got a good football team, and they have a decent basketball team. Where does that money go if you have all these big recruiting classes every single year with great programs? Where does that money go where you can distinctly understand how it would work throughout every single season? Locksley has a point there, but Locksley shouldn't be bitching because this is a good problem to have. You're going to see that NIL deals are going to drive these young kids to decide, hey, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do as a pro. I could still make generational type of money playing college sports. And if I make a pro team, I still get a full scholarship. I'm still making millions of dollars as a college player. I got nothing to worry about. The NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, that's all a plus to me when I move forward after 4 years of college. This will push kids to decide, hey, you know what? I'll play my 4 years of college. I'm not going to rush into playing professional sports because I'm making the money.
This is what I hate about the transfer portal because and you brought this up when you brought up Saban and raising young men and Belichick, right? Mm-hmm. Well, are we truly raising young men? Because if you say, and let's do this as a commitment to anything you do in life, when it gets hard or if you don't like it or you can go make more money, I'm just going to leave. Mm-hmm. Are we truly raising young men where, hey, I can go and make more money or, hey, I didn't get the money I thought or I didn't get the playing time. I can just leave and go willy-nilly. So are we really raising young men in the aspect of them and their morale? Or are we just making them good business people? Those are two different things. They go hand in hand. But if this gets hard, I don't get any playing time, let me go take an extra year. I don't have to sit out. I can maybe go make a little bit of money. But, I'm not playing, so I'm going to leave because I don't like it. Wah, wah. Well, if you don't like it, play better. So are we truly raising young men or are we raising young businessmen and women?
Well, and you go back to this, and again, going back to the NIL deals, we go back to the coaches and what the coaches stand for. Is it good for the player to see the coaches? Hey, you know what? Somebody's offering me from $7 million to $13 million. I'm the reason why you're making all that money. I'm the reason why you're ranked in the top 10 in all of the country. I'm the reason why you're up for a national championship every single year.
Okay, so if that's the case, they're getting that money based upon projection, and that's any draft, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're not talking crazy in that. But also when it comes down to it, okay, we're offering, let's just use 10 million as an example, just an even number. Okay, you're a 5-star coming in, and you kind of touched on this a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you come in and you aren't a 5-star, okay, you're going to get a signing bonus, but now you're not getting all of that money. That's where I think you were trying to get into, like, okay, you come in, you haven't played a snap in college football.